And we got put onto the mattress idea because one of these callers who I spent a lot of time with initially was going to work on mattress company. And then he changed his mind. He said, "Hey, never mind, I'm going to go in a different direction." But I had learned so much about it that I thought, you know what? I actually thought that was a pretty good idea. Let's look further into that. So we ended up creating the first custom mattress company online. And when I say the first, there's no way to timestamp whether we were the first or not. We were the first company to approach it from a digital marketing perspective.
Welcome to A Founder's Life. I'm your host, Leo Kastetner. On this show, we dive into the real stories behind the highs and lows of entrepreneurship and how we pursue a more balanced and meaningful life along the way. This podcast is brought to you by Thankz, helping founders like us scale with reliable remote talent. Email founders@thankz.com. That's THANKZ.com with the subject line A Founder's Life, and you'll get $1,000 off your first month. Well, I'm excited today to be joined by David Mink. David, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Super grateful to be here, Leo. So I live in Salt Lake City, Utah area. I own a digital marketing agency called Avalanche Media. I have done a lot of things from an entrepreneur standpoint. So all culminating with owning a marketing agency because we found marketing to be kind of the key thread in every business pursuit along the way. I'm a father of 6. Oldest is 19 and currently living on a mission in Zimbabwe, and my youngest is 6. And then, of course, we've got a handful between those two. My dad was a military man, so I grew up in the armed services and, kind of saw a very different life from the one I live today. Equally as good. I wouldn't say one is better than the other. Very cool kind of upbringing. He was a helicopter pilot, medevac, so he was off being a hero often, and it was neat for me to see camaraderie and brotherhood and some of the virtues of having a lot of discipline and things of that nature. So yeah, that's me. Married to my best friend. She is a native Utahn. I'm a transplant. Grew up in the Army, of course. Lived a lot of different places, but she was born and raised here in the Salt Lake City area. So this has been a great place for me to discover and raise a family.
Lovely. Well, talk to us a little more about that journey. You gave us some inklings there, but the journey that brought you to where you are today and what you're actually doing in your current agency for your customers, how you're working with them, what kind of customers look like.
Yeah. I mean, so when I was in college, I actually got a job with an uncle of mine actually helped me land this job, and I was working on a hotline. And the hotline was for a company that did business coaching. And so the hotline was, the idea was you had all these entrepreneurs who had signed up for coaching. They would call in really with a variety of kind of technical questions, but everything from how do I register a domain name for a website? How do I set up a Google Ads account? I'm trying to find a supplier for my business. Can you help me locate, a wholesaler or something along those lines? And so that was actually kind of my introduction to entrepreneurship. I just spent my outside of classroom hours talking with these individuals from all over the world and helping them kind of solve their problems in real time. As a byproduct of that, caught the bug, wanted to try my own hand at that. And so a good friend of mine and I actually decided to start a mattress company of all things. And we got put onto the mattress idea because one of these callers who I spent a lot of time with initially was going to work on mattress company. And then he changed his mind. He said, "Hey, never mind, I'm going to go in a different direction." But I had learned so much about it that I thought, you know what? I actually thought that was a pretty good idea. Let's look further into that. So we ended up creating the first custom mattress company online. And when I say the first, there's no way to timestamp whether we were the first or not. But we were the first company to approach it from a digital marketing perspective. And so within about a year, we earned the Google first page, first result for custom mattress, custom RV mattress, custom boat or custom yacht mattress, all these different words and phrases that related to people looking for a mattress that was going to be unique size or shape. And so that was really kind of where I cut my teeth on this hotline. But then, in real practice for myself, we had started this mattress company, and it was a drop ship model. So we found a supplier in North Carolina who would actually manufacture these unique sized and shaped mattresses. Really, our end of the deal was all marketing. So we, of course, had the brand and the website and the search engine rankings and social media, the different communities that we were able to create. We found communities like Airstream owners, etc. So yeah, that was really kind of how I got into this world. Today, I'm the CEO of a marketing agency. And so, really what my day-to-day life looks like is we've got about 50 employees. And so I, of course, do a lot of talent searching, finding the right folks that are going to make the needle move for our customers. A lot of time with what I'd say product and service development, really making sure that we're on the cutting edge of what's trending. How is marketing shifting? How is business shifting? What are people doing internally? Where are people looking for help externally? And so, really between kind of talent acquisition, product and service development, and then of course there's always some rainmaking involved in any kind of business. So of course working with a lot of new clients and new partnership acquisitions and things like that.
Sounds like a varied mix there. And you talked obviously about your 6 kids. What does family mean to you?
Yeah, family's everything, which I know is cliche to say, but I grew up the oldest of 7. So I came from a big family. My dad was in the military, like I mentioned. My mom was fortunate to always be a stay-at-home mom. So we had a lot of mom time and that. But, as the oldest in that environment, I felt like I had that opportunity to really be a big brother and kind of carve the path out. And of course, now having a large family of my own, I'd just say family's the engine, right? It's the why. It's when things get tough or when you're running lower on motivation, family is that thing that pushes you to stay at it, set an example, get home and do something that recharges the batteries, etc. So family, for me, it's very much the engine or the why. And it's fun to be at this point in my life now where my kids are reaching adulthood. I've got the boy who's living in Zimbabwe. My next oldest is a senior in high school. And so now my mind's really kind of changing to, okay, what do I do for these guys to help them find, kind of whatever is going to be their business or entrepreneur or just work path, and thinking a lot about, well, here's a great example. This morning I jumped on Instagram. I don't get on Instagram a ton, probably once every couple of weeks. And when I jumped on, I actually saw that my little brother had created a new Instagram account, and it was called Matt by 30. And I was like, what is this? So I clicked on it, and it essentially is his story for, hey, I turned 30 next year. Here's the path I'm on. I'm trying to get down to 15% body fat. I'm trying to get out of some debt from school and some health challenges that we faced with our first baby. And he also had some business goals in there. And when I read that, I was like, oh, this is so cool. It made me realize, although we're almost 20 years apart, I'm in my late 40s, he's about to turn 30, reading his goals and the way his mind was working and all of that, and tying that into twice in the last year, I've had 2 of my older kids tell me, Uncle Matt's my role model. I love how he approaches life. And so, that's family, right? It's those opportunities that you have to learn from people. It's the people that push you and get you to want to strive for more and all of that. And so, yeah, anyway, I saw that this morning, and it sparked all these thoughts around patterns, how we learn as human beings. We see patterns, and it seems like my brother's tapping into some of those patterns with having physical goals. He had a spiritual goal in there, business goal, and he's seeing, hey, if I kind of keep my life balanced, and if I'm pursuing excellence in some of those key areas of life, I'll probably have a better chance of hitting some of these goals I have that might be monetary related. So I know that was a long-winded answer and not exactly family, but it is family, because I think family's a lot of times where you learn, you have a chance to learn best, and again, get pushed and motivated. So
sounds like your brother's on a good path. And tell us, so what does health mean to you? And, that can be getting down to 15% body fat. There can be sleep, fitness, nutrition. What does health mean to you?
Yeah, health is a cool topic for me this year, because, on a personal level, about a year ago, I actually got diagnosed with thyroid cancer. That was like a shock. I had no idea that was coming. I wasn't experiencing anything. I actually had a friend suggest to me that I should get some blood work done. I think his exact comments were, dinner were like, hey, you can look and feel great, but a lot of times you don't know what's going on inside. Go get your blood work done. So I went and got my blood work done, and there was a thyroglobulin marker in there that was too high. And when I got that report back, obviously kind of started a chain of events that I ended up finding out I had a node that needed to be taken care of. In that process, I was like, man, I've always tried to kind of quote unquote stay fit, but about a year ago, I got extremely dialed in on it. I now count my macros. I'm very balanced. I lift 4 days a week. I hit a zone 2 cardio at least 3 days a week. I've always mountain biked and things like that, but it's just kind of very religious almost for me now. So I do have my own goals. 15% body fat is where I choose to be. But again, the why behind that all is all the other stuff that we're able to achieve. If the health isn't where it needs to be, you can't enjoy it. And when you get some news like I got last year, and although I got out of the woods fairly quickly on that one, I was able to have a surgery and things are great at this point. It still just makes you realize how tenuous it all can be, and that really you're the only person and you're not in control. I don't want to spread that lie. You're certainly not in control, but you can influence to a great degree where your health is at. And if you get detailed right around diet, exercise, supplements, sleep, all of those things, you certainly can make pretty big impacts. So it's been awesome for me to see my blood work from a year ago, and then I've got it done about every 90 days since, and just how you can make fairly steady progress in a lot of areas. So yeah, anyway, been a cool journey for the last year.
Glad to hear the health is moving in the right direction.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It's very grateful for that as well.
I think, for all of us, whether we have a scare or not, I think what I think of as health span versus longevity, longevity being you want to live to 150, which I don't, health span being I want to be healthy until I die. It takes work. I mean, I'm 95 pounds lighter than I was 20 years ago. By far the fittest and healthiest I've ever been in my life. And, you got to work at these things. I think it shows everywhere in your life. So I do believe in a healthy body, a healthy mind. If you look after yourself, you're more focused on whatever is important for you.
Yeah, 100% agree. There's a deep power in it that manifests itself everywhere, including your confidence. And again, back to family, one of the things that I've noticed is my kids now have a new almost mental image of me. My wife has always been super dedicated to working out. She runs marathons and all of those things. And go back 2 years ago, and if my kids were to describe my wife and I, they'd probably describe her as, well, mom works out every day. She does this, she does that. Dad's more relaxed. But today they think of me as somebody who is extremely passionate about health, who, puts in the work, etc. I've been grateful to see that even in such a short period of time, years, not an incredibly long period of time, it's helping create habits in them that will probably, and out their entire life. And if they keep it up, then that next generation and whatnot. So that's one of the other things that as a dad, I've been really mindful of. Man, that example is more important than you think. It's not just about your health. It's about the health of those around you. And the more serious you take it, the just hasn't, it's contagious, right? It's contagious, and it's one of those sources of motivation. If you can tap into that, I think it gives you a lot of one.
100%. I mean, the kids learn from what's around them. I mean, I look at both of my kids, but especially my son who just turned 20. And, we started working out together when he was 14. So COVID kicked off, and it's become, what will be probably a lifetime habit for him now. He knows how to look after himself. He knows how to eat right. He weightlifts a lot. And, it's become important to him to be healthy. And I think, and they all know, both of my kids and most people who know me, I was a big guy. So they see that side, and they've seen the transformation. They've seen, what that means. And they understand that, what it means to be healthy. The other interesting thing is that generation, so our kids' generation, the knowledge is there for them.
There.
Like for us, when we were kids, when we were, when I was 20, if I really wanted to know all this stuff, I guess I could go to a library and read some really boring books. Now if they've got interest, they can find it all online so easily. And I think that's fantastic as a way to really, there's obviously disadvantages of online as well, but to get that knowledge.
Yeah, no, I had that exact conversation with somebody recently. Even thinking about my parents, their generation, we had it better than they had it in terms of the knowledge that was out there. Some ways we had it worse as well. I mean, our nutrition has gotten so bad just because of the way they allow food to be, grown in this country and everything else. So we had some disadvantages from that side. But yeah, there's a big awakening going on. Kids do know and they can get to awesome information really quickly. In fact, I had a fun thing the other day. I went golfing with 4 guys, one of which I didn't know. He ended up being an awesome golfer. And when I was out there, he's giving me a few tips and like it was very helpful. And I came home and I actually grabbed ChatGPT and I just said, "Hey, can you help with a golf swing?" And it was like, "Sure, upload a video of you swinging and I'll tell you exactly like what's going on with your golf swing." And so I was amazed. I uploaded this video of ChatGPT to ChatGPT. Sorry, you know what I'm saying. I uploaded this video and it really did get back to me with a critique of my swing and gave a tip or two that was easy to implement. And sure enough, and so just to your point of just the information that's there, the resources that if these kids want to be serious about it, it's a lot easier in that respect. Might be a lot harder in the respect of you've got to hunt harder for good food and things like that, right? So,
And what do you like to do for fun apart from hitting the driving range?
yeah, no, I live in Utah. So if you've ever been here, we've got no shortage of outdoor activities and I try to take advantage of them. So in the winter, you'll find me on the slopes and we've got a boat. We love to surf and, water activities. Pretty avid mountain biker. Grew up playing sports. So most sports I enjoy. Still find time for basketball, play some golf. So yeah, really those kinds of activities. And I also love fly fishing. So I'd say fly fishing is probably my newest found love. Kind of got deep into that within the last decade. COVID helped there as well. That year of 2020, it was a big release to be able to go out to a river and just be outside and kind of be in a different environment. So anyway, those are some of my favorite activities.
Nice. And what does a balanced life look like for you? That sort of center line of balance, sort of balance overall.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, that's the great question. You know, I'll borrow a page from, in our church, we focus a lot on physical, spiritual, mental, and social. And I've found that is the recipe for me, right? It's like if your social is where it needs to be, and social would encompass family and friends, right? Just the relationships you have, even the work relationships. If mentally you're pursuing things that make you think, keep you, invigorated and exciting about what you can learn, what you can go build. Physically, we've already had that conversation, but if you're locked in and making sure you feel right and that you're living an optimal life on that end. And then spiritually, I think if you're connected to something greater than yourself and it helps you kind of keep gratitude in your life, right? And a feeling of you've got some responsibilities. There's people and things that you should be serving and spending your time with. That's balance for me. I think when those 4 things are being worked on in a simultaneous way, you stay a pretty effective human being that other people want to be around. And when any one of those areas gets too far out of whack, it just hampers your ability to do all the things you want to do. I also am one that would preach, don't ever go into crisis mode. If there's something that's not in balance, the great news is you can change that. You can get it in balance, right? And so even if only 1 or 2 or 3 of those areas are hitting for you at a time, take that win and then think about, okay, well, how can I start to put a little bit more time and energy into these other areas? So that's balance for me.
Sounds like good balance. And what has been a pivotal moment for you in your life?
I mean, so many. I was asked one time though by this guy. His name's the Professor of Rock. If you like old rock music, you should check him out. He interviews famous musicians and he kind of gives the backstory to like the big breakthrough song that they had. And so he actually asked this question to his guest, but the way he terms it is like, what was the moment that like you kind of kicked down the door and busted through to this new life or this new opportunity? I think one of the moments for me, it was when I was just about to get married. I was kind of contemplating. That's one of those moments in life where you're kind of like, oh, do I have all my ducks in a row? What should I do? How am I going to make this thing work? And anyway, I went to an uncle I had who I just termed my rich or successful uncle. And I was asking him some questions. And one of the key things I was trying to figure out was whether I should go to, I'd always known I wanted to get some kind of graduate degree, but he asked me the question. He said, hey, give some thought to your work. What do you want to do? And he knew a little bit about this like hotline experience and things I had had. And he coached me through. He said, hey, if you really like the entrepreneur idea and lifestyle and things, he's like, then you should make a decision based on that. And that was just awesome advice because it forced me to really think through what do I want to do with my career. And I decided then, even though I didn't have anything great going on, but I decided, you know what, he's right. I do want to do this. I want to pursue, a business owner life and to be an entrepreneur. And so this moment was I was trying to decide between an MBA and a law degree, and his advice, right or wrong, was, hey, if you think you're going to go work for other people and do more of like climbing a corporate ladder, you should probably go get an MBA because I think it'll serve you for X, Y, and Z reasons. If you're committed to this concept of, owning your own business and following an entrepreneur lifestyle, he's like, I'd probably recommend you go get a law degree. And he gave me X, Y, and Z reasons for that. But it was a big moment because it just helped me turn left or right. And once I decided to turn right, it felt like I was moving with purpose. I had a vision of what I wanted to accomplish. And, a lot of things fell into place after that. But that conversation with a family member, back to your family question, really ended up being one of those moments that just kicked off a number of dominoes. When I trace back where I am today, that conversation helped me get here. So,
talking about good advice, what's one piece of advice you would give to an aspiring entrepreneur?
Yeah, I touched on this earlier, but I'll give it just a little bit of a different light. What I would say is become a great pattern recognizer. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? You've got to have innovation and you've got to have like moments of brilliance and all of that. But honestly, there's so many things that can be learned just by finding patterns. And the most successful people in your life, the most successful people in your industry, and not just people, but also the brands and the companies. And finding that ability to see general patterns and then create habits that allow you to take advantage of those patterns. It's not about stealing individual ideas or concepts, but it's more of just tapping into patterns. I mean, there's power in patterns, just like you and I hit on the power and the health pattern, right? It makes you more confident. You're able to get more things done, et cetera. And so I think anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur, again, spend some time journaling around patterns. What are things that you've seen and noticed kick off certain results? And then make sure you have habits in your life that allow you to tap into those patterns.
Great advice. And how can people find you?
Yeah, so our company is called Avalanche Media. If you want to see our brand, you can go to www.avalanche media. I am personally pretty active on LinkedIn. And so you can find me, David Mink, on LinkedIn. Those are probably the two best places.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you joining us.
It's been awesome. Great to meet you and appreciate the chat.
Yeah, thank you. I love some of the insights you shared. And thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, and leave a review.